Hello, Christina here. Today I am going to be swatching and comparing Dazzle Dry's new Sandals and Sun collection. I'm going to jump right in here and start with the lightest color, which is called Snow Cone. Lots of us who are just wishing that Blueberry Snow Cone would come back to the Dazzle Dry line are thinking, no, wrong snow cone. But it is a very beautiful color. It is kind of a slightly softer white with a very subtle shimmer. It makes it not be such a stark white on the nails. You're going to see in the comparisons here at the end of this color section that it is just a little bit softer than White Lightning. I also find that it goes on the nail and you have full opacity after 2 coats. It is a little bit of a thicker formulation. I did have a little bit of trouble with this one, but I think in general, whites and off-whites like this that are more opaque, they're a little bit troublesome to begin with. So I don't think this is anything unusual. I just wanted to make a note of it in case any of you wanted to know. So after I've added the top coat on top, you can kind of see a little bit of that shimmer. Here's an up close. It's very, very subtle. It's just enough to soften the stark whiteness of the color. So here it is compared to some other whites in my collection. As you can see, the one that's probably closest is White Lightning. However, Poised has a little bit of that shimmer flash that I think Snow Cone has. It is a little bit of a different white. I find it just a little bit softer than White Lightning. Next up, we've got Tropical Twilight. What a fun name. This is one of those colors that I was like, meh. I was kind of like thinking it was a little bit lackluster when I first saw it online. But in person, let me tell you, it is stunning. I picked out the more red shade to wear for my week, so that's the last one I swatched. But I sort of wish I would have had this one be the last one that I swatched because it is such an unusual color shade. The like bright blue flash in that shimmer is just stunning. I would say it's a very similar shimmer kind of duochrome flash to their previous colors of Beloved and also Milky Way. I think those are some kind of in the same vein, but you can see there's that very beautiful blue shimmer in there. It's just gorgeous. Here it is compared to some other purples. I would say the purple that is closest is probably Lavender Parade, but even then, Lavender Parade is quite a bit lighter and with no shimmer at all. Next up, we've got Coastal Cabana, which when I first saw it, I thought, is this just Palm Springs? Is it the same color? But you know what? It is different. It's a little bit lighter. So for anyone who kind of thinks that Palm Springs is a little bit too of a darker green, a little too intense for you, Coastal Cabana might be that softer aqua shade that you're looking for. Now, this was pretty streaky in the first coat. In fact, do I have ridges on this nail? Apparently I do. I did swatch everything on top of at least one layer of Transform, and usually that's enough, but you can see that the streaks on my ring fingernail were just terrible with this color. I'm not sure what the deal was. So I ended up doing 3 coats to kind of really even this out to make sure that it looks nice. Once I had the top coat on, this is actually a really beautiful color. I love Palm Springs, but this is kind of like that softer color that sometimes I wish Palm Springs was. Don't you worry, I'm going to show you the comparison with Palm Springs. And I'm also comparing it to Monsoon Madness, which is also the most similar color that I've got in my collection. And I've got most of the colors that are out there. You can see Palm Springs is a little bit more green, a little bit more intense. Coastal Cabana is different. The next color I've got for you is Sunset Glow, which this is a color that I probably wouldn't turn to very often. It is a very nice color. It's almost like a subtle shimmery neutral because it is kind of like that peachy shade. I'm really not one to, reach for this color very often, but it is very beautiful. Now, when you've got one coat and it dries to a matte like usual. I'm going to put another coat right on top. And the subtle shimmer in this doesn't really come out too much until you put the top coat on top. So you can see here when it's kind of dried matte, it almost looks like it has a soft, almost sand texture. And then once you put the top coat on, then you can start to see the peach glow from this shimmer. It's not really, flashy and in your face. It's much more subtle. I think this would be a beautiful pedicure color. It would be beautiful, especially if you have probably slightly more tan skin than me. I like to say that I tan by the light of a computer screen. That's me. I'm very pale. Here are the comparisons to other colors in my collection. There's nothing quite like this shade, but I also don't have very many peach shades in general, so there might be some out there that I just don't have to swatch. This last color is Poolside Pink, and it's the color that I chose to wear for my manicure for the week. So I actually am swatching this on top of a base coat and 2 coats of Transform. That's my preferred kind of base layers for my manicure. And Poolside Pink was one of those colors that, really surprised me actually. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, do I really need that color? But I kind of think it is different compared to other colors that are out there in the Dazzle Dry collection, at least the ones that I have in my collection. It's a little bit different. I think the closest color, and you'll see this in the comparisons here in a moment, the closest color I think is probably Sedona Sunset, which is actually a retired color, I believe. And then the nearest to that would be Galactic Fire, which I know is a shade that a lot of us are sad that has been discontinued. So if you want something that's kind of similar to Galactic Fire, but not quite the same, Poolside Pink might be it. I don't know that I would call this a pink. It's sort of just like a dark coral red. But you can see that there's that kind of flash of pink when it's kind of turned in the light. Really, really subtle, but also very beautiful. I think it makes it not look so flat. Here we go. We're going to compare it to Galactic Fire and Sedona Sunset. Fits right in there in the middle. Really beautiful. I like all these colors, and I think they're worth adding to a collection.